Howdy everybody. Today I'm going to be adding in the screw and magnet holes to the Gridfinity baseplate. And if you played around with the online generator at all, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But basically what I'm going to be doing is adding in this screw hole and this magnet hole onto the bottom face of this baseplate design. And to do that, I'm first going to change this pad to a type that I haven't demonstrated yet, called 2 dimensions, which means that it's going to extrude up this 4.65 millimeters and down another set distance. I'm going to set that to my screw depth of 4.2 millimeters. And you see how the pad has gone in the down Z axis. And I've renamed this subtractive loft here stacking lip. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a sketch on the base plane, the base XY plane. And I want to view normal again. So in doing that, you can see how I have this innermost sketch of plate profile 3. And that's what I need to be working with to create this lightning pattern here. And again, if you've ever played around with the online generator of Gridfinity, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So to start, I'm going to create a centered rectangle that is a construction rectangle. Before I get too carried away, I'm going to need reference geometry. Now, you don't need to do this at all, but I'm just going to reference the entire square. And I'm going to dimension, actually, I'm going to first dimension another point. You see that little 2 brackets there? That means that it's going to auto constrain it symmetrically on this line. And those 2 little arrows are pointing to a symmetry constraint about a point or an axis. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this point. And this point, I want to give it a vertical constraint. So now, if I drag anything around, you see that that point stays vertically here and here, and it's symmetrical. So now I'm ready to dimension this square for, no, I don't want to resize that, for my hole offset. But as you can see, that hole offset is no longer 4.8 millimeters. And that's because I've played around in the assembly to ensure this, but you see this 0.25 millimeter offset here. This is the offset that your Gridfinity container is supposed to be for the base plate. Now I don't exactly know why in the assembly, but it's true that you need to add not 0.25 millimeters, but 0.35 millimeters for there to be a proper hole lineup. If somebody understands the trig, please tell me. I'm going to reference the hole offset once again. And I want to make this line equal to this line. And just for completeness, I could add in reference dimensions just to check that everything's correct. And because this corner is correct, I'm not going to do it for every other dimension. But you can see that because of this vertical and symmetrical point, that when I make this a square, everything becomes happy. So now I'm going to generate an arc. And I'm still in construction geometry, but that's okay. I can just select it and press GN on the keyboard. Now I'll press GN again to make sure everything else that I draw is in real geometry, not construction. So I'm going to keep drawing these arcs. And I'm using centered arcs. Let's see what it is. Create arc by center by pressing GA on the keyboard. I'm going to press E to make sure all of these are equal. And I'm attaching the center point of all these arcs to the four corners of my square. Now I'm going to press KO to constrain diameter. And I want this diameter to be equal to my magnet diameter plus 5 millimeters. Because I want there to be a 5 millimeters of break between my magnet, 5 millimeters of material between my magnet hole and my end condition. So now I'm going to draw lines to connect. Draw lines to connect to my sketch. Have it closed. Now it's fully constrained. I'm going to exit out of this. And what I'm going to do is create a pocket. But first, I am going to rename this sketch Lightning Pattern, because as you guessed it, and I already hinted, I'm going to create a pocket, and I want it to be a dimension at first, so I'll make this equivalent to my screw depth, because that's my end face. But in all honesty, what I actually want to do is through all. I'm going to rename this Lightning Pocket. And after that, I'm ready to implement my screws and magnet holes. I'm going to select my body and create a sketch on the base XY plane, and going to reference these arcs here, and as you can see, it automatically gives me the center point of these arcs. So I'm going to draw some circles again. And they're all supposed to be equal. I'll constrain the diameter once again to magnet diameter. That sketch is fully constrained. And with that sketch, I would like to create a hole. I want my diameter in the hole feature to be magnet diameter. I want my depth to be magnet depth. We finally get to use that. Valuable. But come down here, and I'm trying to find it. Always seem to hide it from you. Yes, angled drill point. I want my drill point to be flat, because I'm not actually using a drill and I don't have to account for that. So you can see my four magnet holes there. And for clarity, I'm going to rename this magnet pattern, magnet hole, select the body, you guessed it, XY plane once again, except this time what I'm going to reference are my circles from my hole. And I'm going to draw 4 more circles. On the center points of this circles. They all need to be equal. And their diameter is going to be equivalent to the screw diameter. I close that. These guys on my screw pattern sketch. I'm going to add another hole, referencing the base plate variables of screw diameter and, technically speaking, it's screw depth again. But what I actually can do here is say through all, and nothing changes. So I'm going to say through all, and just in case, well, before I can say through all, if I ever did want to change it to a dimension, just in case I do, I'm going to make that drill point flat again because I don't like angled drill points. But it's very cool that you can CAD them if you were going to use an actual drill. So through all, click OK. I have my screw hole right there. So I've added in this lightning cut here, and I have about 5 millimeters worth of material between the edge of this hole and the edge of material. So that'll make it a little bit stronger and lighter in the center. You're using a lot less material. Not that we really need to worry about weight here, but material savings is huge. So in the next video, I'll show you how to pattern all this out and make it parametric. And before I get there, I'll show you the importance of variables, because all I had to do down here, as you can see in this dialog, is say 4.8 millimeters plus 0.35 to get this offset correct, like I was speaking about in the beginning of the video. So like and subscribe for more. Share this with a buddy. Maybe have a group project where you get better organized. Organize your life, please. And do it with FreeCAD. It's free. It's a cool software. And after you get past the learning curve, you'll really enjoy it. You don't have to pay money. It's free. All right. I hope you enjoy this and have a wonderful day.